Alright, this video will take care of objectives 75 to 76, prime numbers and composite numbers, along with factors, and again we're going to go back to greatest common factor. This is going to be the algebra part, so this is part 2. One term in this section, and that is what's called a monomial. A monomial is an algebraic expression containing one term. So here's some examples of what a monomial looks like. You can have a number and a letter. You can have letters together. Again, numbers and letters to a power. You could have a number and more than one letter also to the power. You can have just a letter, or you can have just a letter and to a power. You can also have just a number. A number is a monomial. It's a single term. So mono meaning single. These are what we're going to deal with in our prime numbers and factors. So what we're going to do first, find the prime factors of a monomial. So we're going to take 24a squared. We're going to do this in two parts. What you would want to do is probably take the number first, break that down like we did in part 1. And then the second is take your letters. And that kind of stems from the other section that we did where we just expand out how many letters we have due to the power. So 24, two numbers that multiply at 8 and 3. 8 can be broken down into 4 and 2. 4 can be broken down into 2 and 2. Again, we're going for primes, so that's what we're looking for. Our a squared, there's two of these, so we're going to show it as a. So the prime factors of 24a squared is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times a times a. So there's our two a's. And if I multiply these four numbers together, I get 24. If we choose a bigger number, we've got 140 a squared, b squared, c. We're going to again take the number first, so we can take it, and again, if we said if it ends in 0, perfect time to drop down the 10 and put the front number in. So we have 14 times 10. 14 can be broken down into 7 and 2. 10 is again 5 and 2. So these are the prime numbers for 140. For our letters, we have two a's, we have two b's, and we have one c. So if we were to write this out in the long term, which would be expanded form, we'd have two 2's, a 5, a 7, two a's, two b's, and a c. And those are the prime factors for those numbers. So now we're going to find the greatest common factor of a monomial, or monomials. We're going to use the grid. This is the easiest way to do this. So we're going to have 12bc squared, 6bc, 9b squared c squared, and we're going to find the greatest common factor of that. So again, the numbers exactly the same as what we did in part 1. We're going to put our factors in, so we did our prime factor trees over here. So here's my prime factor tree for 12bc squared. And then I'm going to list my numbers and my letters. So I have two 2's, a 3, a b, and two c's. For my 6bc, here's my prime factor tree. I have a 2. Again, it goes in the 2 column. I don't have another 2, but I do have a 3. I have a b, and I have a c, and nothing else matches. My last number is 9bc, or b squared c squared. So again, here's my prime factor tree of it. I don't have any 2's. I do have a 3. I do have a b. I do have a c. I have another c, so that's going to fit in this column. This one is going to go here for the 3, and our b is going to be out here, because again, I don't have any other columns for b except the one that's already filled. For the greatest common factor, we're going to bring down only the columns that are filled. If we have more than one, we're going to multiply it, and being that we have a 3 and 2 letters, it's just 3bc, or 3b times c. So that's our greatest common factor. Again, columns that are filled are only the ones that we bring down. More than one, we have to multiply. So if we take on another example, we look at our numbers of 16ab, 20bc squared, 15BC, 30ABC. We're going to break these down as primes. So again, here's my 16AB, my 20BC, my 15BC, and my 30ABC. Again, breaking down into my prime factors, those are going to go in the grid. Those are the only ones that are going to go in the grid. So I'm going to start with my 16AB and list all of my 2's, A, B, and that sets the tone for the rest of the grid. So this is my 2 column, this is my 2 column, these other ones are my 2's, this is an A, this is a B. If I have additional numbers, which I do here is a 5, additional letters a C, and a 3. Now if you notice, we've gone through the whole chart and I put in for each of my numbers the prime factors along with their letters as they expanded. None of the columns are filled. So if none of the columns are filled, we don't have a greatest common factor that comes out of this chart. And as we said back in part 1, if you don't have any columns that are filled, this is the only time that your greatest common factor is 1. Even with the letters, it's still going to be a greatest common factor of 1. So again, no columns filled, greatest common factor is 1. So again, these are all monomials. They're single-termed problems or expressions. For our last example, we have no numbers. We're just going to do all letters. This is probably the easiest because all you have to do is expand out your letters. The issue with these is your grid gets pretty large. They'll get pretty wide. So we do have the big wide ones that you can use. So I have a to the 4th, b squared, c. So I have 4 a's, I have 2 b's, and I have a c. Again, that sets up my chart. And again, I want to do with letters, I want to go alphabetical order. My second number is a squared, b squared, c squared. So again, I have 2 a's that fit in the first 2 columns. I don't have any other a's. I have 2 b's and I have 2 c's. So I have to add another column over here. My last one is a squared, b cubed, c to the 4th. So again, I have 2 a's that fit in this column. I don't have any other a's. I have 2 b's. I have 2 c's that fills in this column here. And then I have an extra b and 2 other c's. So again, I have to expand my chart out. And again, this is where your grid will get long. So again, we're going to only bring down the columns that are filled. And those have the green star next to them. So we have A times A, B times B, and 1C. So again, we're going to multiply if we have more than 1. So we have A squared, B squared, C. This is our greatest common factor for this problem. So down at the bottom I listed how many. Well, if it's A squared, it's A to the 4th. So this goes back to reviewing a little bit of what we did in the first part of this section with the exponents. This is exponential form. This is expanded form. How many do we have? So again, grids will get a little bit longer. Don't be afraid to make them any longer than they have to be. If you have to add columns, go right ahead and take care of it. So this is part 2, continuation of part 1, but this is all the algebraic section that you're going to work with.